Right now, while you're sitting here listening to this, your body is making thousands of decisions about energy. Which fuel should it use? How much glucose should stay in your bloodstream? How much energy should be stored? How much should be released? And you probably never feel any of it happening. But then you stand up and start walking. Nothing dramatic happens on the outside. No heavy weights, no sprinting, no breathless struggle. Your cells begin responding to a signal they were designed to understand. Your heart adjusts its output. Your cells begin responding to a signal they were designed to understand. And if you repeat that simple signal every day for 30 days, something even more interesting happens. Your body doesn't just respond to the walks. It begins adapting to them. Because what happens next isn't simply about how many calories you burn. It's about how your body learns to handle energy differently. Imagine your body as a massive city. Your bloodstream is the highway system. Glucose is one of the main fuels being transported through those highways. Your muscles are factories. Your liver is a central warehouse. The moment you begin walking, your muscles start contracting over and over again. Every contraction requires energy. And those muscle cells don't wait around for some distant command from your brain saying, "Okay, now use energy." The contractions themselves help create signals that increase glucose uptake by the muscles. Think of it like opening additional loading docks at a factory. More fuel can move from the bloodstream into the muscle cells, and this is one reason walking after eating can be particularly interesting. Instead of leaving all that circulating glucose for insulin to manage on its own, your contracting muscles are actively using energy. And those muscle cells, but this is only the beginning. During the first few minutes of your walk, your body is essentially changing gears. Your heart begins beating faster. Blood flow increases. Your breathing adjusts. Your muscles receive more oxygen and nutrients. And your nervous system is coordinating thousands of tiny movements without you consciously controlling any of them. At the same time, your muscles begin drawing on readily available energy. Some of that energy comes from glucose. Some comes from stored glycogen inside your muscles. And depending on the intensity and duration of the walk, your body also uses fat as a fuel source. But here's the part most people miss. There isn't a magical minute when your body suddenly switches from burning sugar to burning fat. Your body is always using a mixture of fuels. The proportions change. And those proportions depend on things like walking intensity, duration, your recent meals, your fitness level, and your individual metabolism. So when you hear someone say, fat burning starts after exactly 20 minutes, that's far too simplistic. Your body doesn't work with a stopwatch. It works with signals and they're communicating. This is where it gets interesting. Muscle contraction can increase glucose uptake through pathways that don't depend entirely on insulin. In simple terms, your muscles have another way to say, "We need fuel now." And this matters because regular movement can make the system more efficient. You aren't just using energy today, you're giving your body information about what it should become better at doing tomorrow. This is why one walk and 30 days of walking are two very different stories. One walk is an event, 30 days is a signal, and your body pays attention to repeated signals. As the days pass, something begins changing underneath the surface. As the days pass, something begins changing underneath the surface. Something begins changing underneath the surface. Now, that means the hormone responsible for helping regulate blood glucose can do its job more effectively. Think of insulin as a messenger carrying instructions through the city. When the system is working efficiently, the message gets through. When insulin sensitivity is lower, the body may need more insulin to produce the same effect. Regular physical activity can help improve that sensitivity. And suddenly, your daily walk has become more than movement. It has become metabolic training. But now watch what happens to your fat tissue. Your fat cells are not simply bags filled with unwanted material. They're living cells. They store energy and store. And when it store energy, they filled with the same effect, are regular and restore. That store energy, they regulate blood. When your body needs more energy, stored triglycerides can be broken down into fatty acids and glycerol. Those fatty acids can enter the circulation and become available to tissues that can use them for energy. But here's the important distinction. Releasing fat from a fat cell doesn't automatically mean you've lost body fat. The fatty acids still have to be used, returned to storage, or otherwise processed. This is where the story becomes much more interesting. Your body isn't trying to destroy your fat stores. It's trying to manage energy. And that changes the way you should think about fat loss. You're not fighting your body, you're teaching it what to do with energy. This is why consistency matters so much. One long walk might burn energy, but repeated walking can repeatedly challenge the systems responsible for moving, storing, and using that energy. And over time, those systems can become better coordinated. This is where most people stop looking. They look at the scale, they look at calories, they look at the number of steps. But the scale doesn't show you everything that's happening. It doesn't show improved blood flow. It doesn't show muscle glucose uptake. It doesn't show how your cardiovascular system is adapting. It doesn't show your mitochondria adjusting to repeated energy demands. And it certainly doesn't show the thousands of tiny signals moving through your body. Your body knows. Now imagine you've reached the middle of your walk. Your muscles have been contracting continuously. Your heart has been working harder. Your breathing has settled into a rhythm. And your body is continuously balancing energy supply with energy demand. The longer you continue, the more important aerobic metabolism becomes. Inside your cells are structures called mitochondria. Think of them as microscopic power stations. They take energy from nutrients and help convert it into ATP, the molecule your cells use to power their work. And regular physical activity can stimulate adaptations that improve your muscles' ability to produce and use energy aerobically. It happens because your body is constantly asking, how can I handle this demand more efficiently next time? That question is at the heart of adaptation. And now we reach one of the biggest misunderstandings about walking. People often think walking is too easy to create meaningful change. But easy does not mean useless. Your body doesn't require every signal to be extreme. A signal can be valuable because it is repeated. Think about lifting a heavy box once. Your body responds. But imagine performing a manageable movement regularly for months. Now the nervous system, muscles, cardiovascular system, and energy systems have repeated opportunities to adapt force, once, adapting. But walking can become a remarkably sustainable signal because it is accessible enough to repeat. And that's important, because the best activity isn't always the activity that looks the hardest. Sometimes it's the activity you can keep doing, day after day, week after week. Now let's move beyond the single walk, because the most interesting changes may happen between your walks. When you finish walking, your heart rate gradually comes down. Your muscles begin restoring energy stored. Your cardiovascular system returns toward its resting state. And repeated exercise creates a cycle: stress, recovery, adaptation, then another signal, then another adaptation. And after several weeks, the body you started with may not be responding to walking in exactly the same way. That's the hidden transformation. You're not simply becoming someone who walks. You're becoming someone whose body has practiced handling movement again and again. Research consistently supports physical activity as an important tool for improving cardiometabolic health, including insulin sensitivity and cardiovascular. But here's where the story takes a psychological turn. Think about what happens if you spend most of your day sitting. Your muscles are relatively quiet for long periods. Your energy demand is low. Your circulation doesn't need to respond to repeated muscular contractions. Your body adapts to the environment you give it. That's not your body failing you. That's your body conserving resources in response to the signals it receives. And this is why the phrase, "your body is broken," can be so misleading. Your body is constantly listening. If the dominant signal is inactivity, it adapts to inactivity. If it adapts to inactivity, inactivity, and to failure. If the signal is chaotic eating, poor sleep, stress, and inactivity, the metabolic environment becomes different again. Your body isn't judging you, it's responding. And that realization changes everything, because it means you don't necessarily need to attack your body into submission. you can give it better instructions. One walk, then another, then another. 30 days may not transform every part of your body in a dramatic visual way, and it shouldn't be treated like a guaranteed deadline for a specific amount of weight loss. Bodies don't work on identical schedules, but 30 days can give your physiology something incredibly valuable. Repeated information. Your muscles, your cardiovascular system repeatedly experiences increased demand. Your glucose regulation system repeatedly encounters movement. Your brain repeatedly experiences the routine. And eventually, walking stops feeling like an unusual event. It becomes part of the environment your body expects. Now imagine waking up on day 1. You take your first walk. Your body responds. Day 7. The signal has been repeated. Day 15. The routine is becoming familiar. You don't have to wait for motivation. You simply have to keep sending the signal. Because inside your body, consistency has a language, and your cells understand it. So the next time you walk, don't think only about the number on your watch. Don't think only about calories. Imagine the highway inside your body. Imagine glucose moving toward your muscles. Imagine your heart adjusting blood flow. Imagine mitochondria turning nutrients into usable energy. Imagine mitochondria turning nutrients into usable energy. Imagine mitochondria turning nutrients into usable energy. Imagine your fat tissue responding to changing energy demands. And then remember something most people never think about. Imagine muscle cells understand it. Imagine grahout. Mostly. Imagine muscle cells opening pathways for energy. And quietly, precisely, and every step is another small piece of information. You are telling your body what kind of environment it needs to prepare for. That's why walking can be so much more than walking. It can be a daily metabolic signal, a cardiovascular signal, a muscular signal, a behavioral signal. And over time, those signals can become adaptation. Your body doesn't need perfection. It needs you to work with it. So if you walk today, remember, you're not simply moving your legs. Your body isn't broken. It's listening. Every single day. The question is, what are you teaching it? If you could see one change happening inside your body during those 30 days, what would you want to see most? More efficient fat use? Better blood sugar control? Stronger muscles? Or a healthier heart? Tell me in the comments. Because sometimes, the most powerful transformation isn't the one you can see in the mirror. It's the one happening quietly inside you.